Okay, folks, I hope you are in my new party room here. I think I've actually got everything switched on properly, so with any luck, you should be able to actually ask questions and what have you directly into the chat. So let's see. There we go. All right, so yes, the Q&A app is working, the Showcase app is working, and the Applause app is working as well. Oh, found Q&A but lost live screen. Clicking the select button shows the audience which question you're answering and bookmarks it in the video for later. Oh, okay. That is a good question. Celia, have you, if you click on start, is there a start button actually on the live screen at the moment? I'm just trying to refresh it at my side as well. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. If I hit play, what does it do? Pardon me for looking gormless. All right. Well, let's see. All right. That appears to be working. If you hit play on the launch party screen, that should get you. That should get you into the live. So fingers crossed that'll work. Okay, where was I? So everything is now up and live on the web, and I'd better make sure folks on Twitter know where. Okay, tweet. New link for the launch party. And I better retweet that on my personal profile as well. So Mitchell, if you're still watching this, I hope you can retweet that. Apologies, mate. Thank you very much for spreading the word. So like that, retweet that. And my phone is just binging because it's got both YouTube profiles on it. Okay. So as far as I can see, we seem to be up and running. Okay. Celia, let me know if it's still arguing with you. We'll see what we can do. A learning experience as we go. All right. So what has been going on lately? Firstly, everybody, happy Easter. I hope you have had a great Good Friday and Easter Saturday, and so far of your Easter Sunday, if you happen to live in Australia as well. Everybody else, I guess it might be midnight on Easter Sunday for you at the moment, or afternoon, evening, Easter Saturday. So, excuse me a second. Yes, my tea goes sort of cold. Congratulations, Rob. Nice work. Okay, so generally, what is going on? Opening Showcase as well. Now, in terms of guests, Miracle of Sound, my guest for episode 5, Gavin Dunn, has put out a new song, Kana. So let me just see if I can give you some linkage to that. I tap away. I should have got these links together beforehand, but I hope you'll forgive me, folks. It has been a little bit all over the place for the past couple of weeks. I think I might have mentioned in the last chat a couple of weeks ago that my wife Vicky had to go to hospital. In between, she's had to go back in a couple more times, and unfortunately, we wound up having to call the ambulance for her again. There we go. So, yeah, she's back in there at the moment. She went in on Wednesday night last week, so she's been there basically for 4 nights in a row now, and I think they're going to be keeping her in until such time as until the surgery, which is scheduled on Wednesday to go and get one of the kidney stones. But yeah, at the moment, your guess is as good as ours as to exactly what is going to be happening on that score. I might just put my chair up a little. Oh, pardon the mic nudge, because I notice I'm sitting a little bit low on this video, especially in relation to the camera. All right. So yeah, if you have a look in the showcase section, I've just put a link up to Miracle of Sound's new song, Carnub, which is based on the video game Far Cry Primal. I've not played it myself. I've watched a couple of people live stream it to hilarious effect. But yes, please go, have a listen, have a look. Spend your hard-earned on this track. And it's a Miracle of Sound one, so it's going to be good fun no matter what. I will admit I've not listened to it myself yet. Sorry, Gav, but please, folks, enjoy. Next piece of news I wanted to share. My first episode for this year with Jeff Salmonen of the Lost Hope Project. They were, at the time, doing a crowdfunding effort on Kickstarter, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to, not Lost Hope, losthope.tv, thank you very much. Typographical issues, I hope you'll pardon me. Unfortunately, their Kickstarter did not hit its backing target, but they have kicked off a new one with some revised perks, and so far it is actually doing better than the previous Kickstarter, and I think it's still got something like 28 or 29 days left to go. 34 days left to go, pardon me, and of a 30,000 Canadian dollar goal, it has raised a little over 8,000 Canadian dollars, which is great. And a fun little coincidence, my guest for today's episode is also a Canadian, so let me quickly put a link up to that in the showcase as well. Here we go. Shown items will now be visible to your audience. Great, I know. So where the heck is that one that I just put in? All right. Yes, show item. There we go. So that is a link to the Kickstarter page that Jeff and Natalie are working on. If you get a bit of spare cash, please chuck it their way. Have a look at their video and their samples of what they've done. The results are fantastic. And of course, speaking of fantastic results, as you may already know, if you've been following the Paid to Play podcast on Facebook, one of my guests from last year, Major Sam Cosplay, entered into, I suppose I should very quickly talk about the history of it. Oz Comic Con, which is a local convention franchise, decided to kick off the first major cosplay competition that has been, pardon me, that has happened in Australia. And Major Sam, of course, went in. She won her heat for the Brisbane competition, which allowed her to compete in the national championships, which were held in Sydney. And she won those, and as part of the winning of that, that allowed her an entry into the C2E2, which is a major pop culture convention in the States, Crown Championships of Cosplay, the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, it is called. And let me get the linkage. Here we go. Actually, I really ought to be searching for. I am sorry about this. This is what I get for not being organized. Let's see if I can share any links that Major Sam has on her Facebook page. Let's copy that and whack it into here we go. So yes, she scored an entry and did an incredible competition based on a very complex costume design. Julieta, a necromancer, also vampire, I believe, from a, I think the term is doujinshi, work by an artist called Sakizu. And yes, so she put that together, took it to Chicago, and she won. So basically, for 2016, Major Sam has basically taken out probably one of the biggest, if not one of the biggest cosplay awards in the Western Hemisphere. So what that will do for her profile, I have no idea. And I just want to say, Sam, congratulations again. Fantastic work, incredible stuff. So I did want to share that link with you folks just to try out the showcase feature. Let me just pop back to Q&A, see if anyone else has asked any questions just yet. Okay. An update on what's going on with pay to play. In the last few days, I have had to reschedule a couple of chats, unfortunately. I did have one with a voice actor who I was keen to get on, and technical issues unfortunately prevented us from getting a good connection. The lesson I've learned from that is to reset my modem before I do a chat. I noticed after I basically apologized to my guest and asked her if we could retry another time that once we disconnected, my incoming internet was pretty crap as well. So I reset my modem and then everything started working fine, and unfortunately I couldn't get her back on for the episode. So I think the next time I do a chat, which will actually be tonight, assuming my guests and my schedules hold out, I will actually make sure to reset the modem first, or if I start getting dodgy connections, just apologize, beg off for 10 minutes, and then try resetting the modem and see how we go. Patreon backer levels. As I mentioned in my last launch party, I decided to drop back from monthly to per episode, simply because monthly charges folks per month, regardless of whether or not I put anything up. And while you folks who are my Patreon backers might not mind, it's still something that I am not fond of doing. And I have rejuggled my backing offerings a little bit. I've reintroduced early access because I've been managing to get these episodes up, cut together and ready to go a couple of weeks beforehand. And I've been putting them up on Patreon. I don't know whether I can sustain 2 weeks forward notice, but I do have a chat with Shane Gibson from That Geek Caveman, which is currently 3 weeks out from its publish date. So I suppose I could get that cut together. I am promising a minimum of 3 days out for my $4 an episode backers, and I have bumped doing a sound file up to the $7 per episode backer level. Direct access to this chat is, of course, still restricted to my $11 an episode backers. Also, I did a great blab with the crew at the Podcast Discovery Center. It's a great little Facebook group which is very much about supporting and promoting people who are making podcasts. And I actually have their link available for once. I'll just drop back to Showcase very quickly, and I will add this as a shared item. Oh, wait a second. No, it's put the Major Sam one back up. Yes, I want to copy that. Thank you very much. And put that in. So you can actually see the great little chat that myself and some fellow podcasters had. Let me share that up. So that should now be sitting in the live Showcase feed. I'll drop back to Q&A now. And I tell you what, let me just very quickly go back to the wrong tab. There we go. The Hangout, see if anyone's got any more questions. It would not appear yet right at the moment. Unless, of course, you're all commenting on the old one, in which case my apologies. Let's see. Blank face at the moment, folks. My apologies. All right. All right, it looks like at the moment I've just got myself in the new one. Let's open the old one in an older tab. Drop back to this one. Let's see if we've still got Celia. All right, I'm just trying to drag Yoko back in, Mitchell, but it looks as though I might have lost Celia, unfortunately. That's what I get for these technical issues. Sometimes I just can't resist the urge to fix something, even when perhaps it might not need fixing up, but or I can leave well enough alone for the moment. And sometimes it causes more problems than it actually fixes. Anyway, so let's drop back a bit. Where was I? One thing I'm getting better at with this podcast is asking guests for 2 recommendations. So after I finish a chat with them, I say, look, can you think of a couple of people who you reckon might make great guests for the show? I've been getting some great folks, some great suggestions on. Terry, my guest for today, has suggested a couple of great people in the online RPG community. I prefer not to mention names until after I've got the chat in the can, but yes, they are some folks doing some amazing things and actually getting paid to play tabletop RPGs, which I think is a fantastic thing, considering, as you may well know about me, I have been an armchair hobbyist in that field for ages. Yes, so that's generally what's going on with the Paid to Play podcast. In terms of my paid play, right at the moment, I am working on a revamp of robf.com.au. It's part way done. If you do go to robf.com.au at the moment, you'll see what I've done so far in terms of trying to make the site look a little bit professional. I had the idea of trying to get as much of my play on there as possible. But I think right at the moment with the website, it's kind of a shotgun approach. So I've decided to focus on voice work for the time being. So I think that's really where things are kind of happening for me at the moment with terms of voice work. And if I just get that up and get that done and get that looking good, I can then move on and maybe add other things as I go and just generally keep the rest of my portfolio as an item there, but don't put any specific focus on it until I'm ready. Random Transmissions, I'm sure I've mentioned it a couple of times already. A weird fiction podcast by Justin K. Day. As I think I said in the last episode, episode 7 of Random Transmissions hits on Monday US time, Tuesday Australian time. As it's going to be Tuesday Australian time, I'm going to be at work, so I won't be online to promote it unless I can sneak out at lunch and do a little bit of tweeting and what have you on my mobile phone. We'll see what happens there. But please listen into that. Darkness Schemes by Devil's Dream by Kevin Spiteri is the episode that I read out. I'm trying my hand at a gruff noir sounding US accent with that one. Justin absolutely loves it, so fingers crossed you folks will too. I will link to it as best I can when it comes out. Please listen, download, share. It is bizarro, weird fiction. It gets a little bit bloodthirsty and gruesome at times, so brace yourselves for that. And in terms of general play, as you may or may not know, I've been trying to get a game of the Pathfinder tabletop role-playing game. I think I harped on about it a fair bit on the previous episode, the general history of the Pathfinder RPG. and it's kind of hit a few snags because my wife is in hospital. It's one of those things where you want to make guarantees to folks as to when and where you'll be online. And unfortunately, you know, there is that episode of For Crying Out Loud. Your wife is in hospital. She's priority one, Rob. If she calls or hospital calls, you've got to be ready to drop everything and, you know, go help out. I will be rocking into see her and see how she's going a little bit after lunch in a few hours' time. We spoke a little bit earlier on, as I think I said, they're keeping her in at the moment until quite probably her surgery on Wednesday. Fingers crossed that'll mean she'll be out Thursday and Friday, but yeah, it does again kind of suck that she gets to spend her Easter long weekend in a friggin' hospital. And I get to spend my Easter long weekend not with her. So I don't know, maybe I'll see about some holiday time in April. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of it in terms of just general play right at the moment. Yeah, scheduling anything is a little bit tough right at the moment. But look, folks, episode 77 with Terry is on the air. It turns out it's been on the air for an hour before I kicked off this event. I actually had it scheduled to go live at 9:30 instead of 10:30 to coincide with his launch party. But I hope it gave you folks time to download it and maybe listen to a little bit of it before you came online. And if you've not listened to it, please download it, have a listen. It's a great chat. Terry was fantastic to chat with. She's enthusiastic about her subject matter of board games and tabletop war games. She was going to be going to a War Machine event tonight when unfortunately circumstances forced her to cancel out of that. So Terry, all my best. My thoughts are with you right at the moment, and I hope you're doing okay, and may your next event go swimmingly. Yes, I mentioned that because one of the things that she's really passionate about is getting more women into the game. She tweeted a couple of times recently about how she would really love it if the women's bathroom when she goes to an event didn't wind up being by default her personal bathroom. So ladies, if you happen to live if you happen to live in Canada, it's a big bloody country for crying out loud, about as big as Australia, I think. But look, if you can make it cross country to an event that she's at, please do. It'd be fantastic to know that we can get a little bit more of a sisterhood in the hobby. And in the meantime, my next chat is going to be episode 78, of course. And as I might have mentioned, I'm going to be a little bit naughty with my fortnightly schedule, and I'm going to put it up this time next week on Sunday, April the 3rd. It's because my chat is with a gentleman by the name of Wayne Nichols, who is a professional comic book artist. He has worked with Marvel, he has worked with Dark Horse Comics, and he is still keeping his hands busy right at the moment. And he is going to be appearing at the Australian franchise convention Supernova, which is on at the Gold Coast. Let me see if I can give you fine folks some more linkages. I'll just quickly pop back to Q&A. No questions right at the moment. All right. So let me just see if I can very quickly add in supernova.com.au to my showcase list. Let's have to think about it right at the moment. Okay. Yes, I definitely want to show that item. Thank you very much. So, yes, in a couple of weeks' time, Wayne Nichols will be a guest at Supernova Gold Coast to, I believe, sign anything that you bring in for signature. Check out the Supernova webpage. I don't want to make any promises that Wayne cannot keep, but he will be there. Hopefully, he will be chatting a little bit about his career in comic books. So if you are going to be in the area, go and see him. I will not be, unfortunately. Travel is a bit out of the way. And at the moment, I am going to be most likely investing any readies that I get out of this show on a copy of the Pathfinder Core rulebook, as I've discovered in trying to prepare for the online game I want to run. Really having a PDF version when you can only view it on a PC screen or on your mobile phone. Yeah, I'm not tablet enabled, folks. They're a little bit about my price range, out of my price range at the moment. Pardon me. Yeah, there's still something about having a print version, really. I do like having that nice, even if it might be a bit heavy and unwieldy, that nice hardback to leaf through and just read. And it's nice to be able to read something like that when you've not got an active light source shining directly into your eyes. Here we go. Quit thinking about it. Phone. I mean, this is what reading the Pathfinder core rulebook looks like when you're trying to look at it on your phone. And I've got the light up a little bit, but anyway. So yes, there is basically a column of text. I don't know how well you can read it as my webcam tries to adjust for the light. You might be getting a bit of a strobe effect right at the moment, but yeah, it's a pain. It's really small text. I can read it, but I don't like having to read it on the phone. I mean, even doing it this way, which makes it a little bit more readable. As you can see, you might actually be able to read that text about hit dice now. I don't know. Yeah, I'd still prefer to be able to sit down on the couch with a nice big book in my hands, open up and read it. So yeah, once you find folks at Patreon, support me for my March uploads. I think that's where the cash is going to be going. And a copy of the Pathfinder Core rulebook costs between, depending on where you go, between $70 and $90. So we'll see what happens there. Well, look, it's 11:15, so we're getting close to wind-up time now. So I'd like to end by asking you folks to do a few things for me, as I do at the end of every episode. You'll forgive me for not looking at the camera because I'm basically having a look at... actually, I should be looking at Microsoft Word because that's where the checklist is, isn't it? Yes, it is. Outro Text 2016. So yes, I would love it if you could do a few things for me to help the podcast a little bit. Firstly, say hi. If you're live on one of these chats, I am trying to make sure the Q&A application works properly this time. Celia was able to use it very quickly. Yes, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me about the things that you love doing. Tell me about how you get paid for it, or how you've tried to get paid for it, or even if you're not sure how to go about getting paid to do the things that you love doing. But generally, just, you know, say hi, get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. It can be a little bit lonely doing this podcast at times. And yes, is there someone who you kind of look up to as an example of getting paid to do the kind of play that you like to do? Could I possibly get them on the show? Ask them the questions that you would like to ask. There are a few key places where you can come along to. Like I said, you can do it on the Q&A option on these launch parties. You can comment on the Pay to Play website, on the posts that I put up for my guest chat, and you can also join the Facebook group Fans of the Pay to Play podcast. I've got a good few people in there who enjoy the show. So please come along, say hi, tell us about the episodes that you liked, and just, you know, get to know your fellow fans. I would also like your help in spreading the word of the podcast. Like I said at the beginning of every show, it's a dangerous idea, getting paid to do the things that you like doing. And it's one that we could all probably do with exploring a little bit more. If we want to act on it, we've got to take some risks, especially in terms of showing a little more of our true selves. And I think this podcast helps, not only in giving examples for specific kinds of play, but just letting you know that you're not alone, that the success stories that you hear about do face the same kind of slog every day that you do, and sometimes still have to fight those fears that you fight in terms of getting paid to play. So there are tons more people out there like us, and if this podcast can get between their ears, it would be fantastic. So please spread the word, like, favorite, share. The Pay to Play podcast has pages on Facebook and Google+, so I'd love it if you could like those on Facebook. Like the episodes that you enjoy on Google+, add the podcast to your circles, +1 and share them. The Pay to Play podcast, of course, has a channel on YouTube where you'll find these live chats after they've gone live. Like and share the episodes, leave comments on YouTube, please. I know that YouTube can be a bit of a mess when it comes to comment making, but don't let that stop you. I would love to hear from you. On Twitter, you can follow us at Paid Play Podcast, all one word. Favorite and retweet the episode, and even say hello on Twitter, please. We have a board on Pinterest as well, where I put up my guests. Share their photos as well if you can. Link back to the show. And if you download the podcast on iTunes, please give us a rating and a review. Give us an honest one. I would prefer an honest 1-star rather than a 5-star that you feel that you have to give just for obligation's sake. And please spread the word as to why you think it's fantastic or why you think it sucks or what I can do better. Or if you download your podcast through another aggregator, I believe Google is still working on theirs. I'll have to update my show, upload it to Stitcher at some point, see if folks can get to it on there. And finally, I would love it if you could back the show. You've got a couple of options there. As I mentioned earlier on, there is a paid-to-play page on Patreon. And again, you can find that at www.patreon.com. Papa Alpha Tango Romeo Echo Oscar November.com/paid to play, and that's 2TO, not the number 2 or TOO, and that's all one word, paid to play. I've got, I reckon, a pretty natty bunch of backer rewards, and yes, if you could tip me $1 or $2 per episode, that would mean a whole bunch in me being able to explore my play a bit more and hopefully come up with some new funky stuff that I can spread on the robf.com.au page and put up as examples of ways to get paid to play. If you would prefer not to subscribe, I have also got a link to a PayPal account for paid to play up on the Paid to Play website, pagetoplay.com.au. So if you just want to tip a discrete amount, you can certainly do so through there. Anyway, it's coming up on 11:30, so I think it is time to wind things up. So, as always, I have been, am, and hopefully continue to be for the foreseeable future, Rob Farker. And I'm asking you to be good, be kind, and be a little dangerous.